Yeah, you're live.
Do it and then you'll be like, we're live, whatever.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast today. Wah, 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 wah. Who's on the show, Mars?
Me, you, Matty Fraser. I got O'Keefe across from me right now. Yeah,
What's
man,
up,
we're in
boys?
Madrid right now. We're just here doing a site visit for the upcoming Madrid CrossFit Championships.
Wow, that was the best intro yet.
Yeah, man.
Bring the heat.
We're here in Madrid, Spain. We've got Mat Fraser, co-host today, not on the other side.
Okay, good. I was just about to ask. I was like, "What's my role in all of this?"
You are.
I'm not sure why I'm here.
This is your first time on this side of the mic, and we got Marston, Sawyers, and Heber the Buttery Bros, and this is the Loud and Live Sports Podcast. How's it going?
Dude, great, man. We just got done with London. Watched Matt go over there and just crush it. Now
Smashed it.
we jumped over here before going to Barcelona for Fittest Freakers.
Love it. How was London?
Great.
It was great.
Yeah, man.
Great fish and chips.
I actually didn't get any fish and chips.
Man.
What is it? I mean, you guys travel a lot, and we'll talk about where you were and where you are now. But like, what's it like to go to another country, another continent, and just get mobbed and see how well received you are across the pond?
It's actually quite surprising because, I mean, a year ago at the same time, we were coming out here basically putting everything on a credit card to make it happen. And nobody really knew who we were at that. I mean, they do it from past movies or whatever, but talk about a difference. This year, it was very surreal to be in another country and get off a subway and people are like, "Hey, can we get a photo?" I was like, "Yeah, of course. You want a litter box?"
What's wild to me was that change has been in the last year. Like, I didn't realize it. Like, you guys made the jump from like CrossFit HQ media staff, and you were just purely on one side of the camera. Like, very rarely did you get in front of the lens. And then Buttery Bros just like hit the ground running. And it was it you that posted like 1 year ago today, we launched our first video
Yep.
of doing acid bath in my garage.
Yep.
And it was mind blowing to me of like, oh my God, that was only a year ago. And to see like what you guys have done since then, I was like, you guys have made like 5 years of progress in 12 months.
Thanks,
this
man.
is
Thanks, dude.
bananas.
It's because Sammy held the camera so well in
Yeah.
that first video.
Yeah, Sammy.
Crushed it.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, super cool. Really, honestly, let's talk about that. Like, I think it's probably like November, December of last year.
No, it was January 1st. We went out there for New Year's.
But I'm
what's the
saying-
question? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mars,
Jumping the
down.
gun, bro.
you need to
Jumping
calm down.
Yeah.
Okay.
November. What year are we talking? We're
Okay,
talking
yeah.
2018? We're talking 19?
So let's talk about you guys are building at the time the documentary for the you're starting to think about the documentary for the 2018 games, right?
Okay.
Back at CrossFit HQ.
Okay.
And things changed, right? Overnight, you guys were let go.
I don't even think you were starting to think about the documentary. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
just
was
finished
done.
up all the interviews.
Yeah, we
had
literally
one
went-
interview left to go do, and then we were just going to be sitting in the editing bay for another 2 months to finish it off before the end of the year. And we got back from a 2-week-long trip basically to try and capture a bunch of interviews and content with a bunch of athletes. And the next week we were both let go.
Well, at the time, now I remember talking to you guys quite a bit,
Yep.
around that, and I was excited for you. Not that like you got let go, but like that it was I looked at it as an opportunity, as I told you, right? And all your friends did, and I think it was very scary for you guys. But what was it like then? And I mean, God, look where you are now. But talk a little bit about that time and transition, and then we'll talk a little bit about Buttery Bros after that. But what was that like?
It was scary to say it best. I was like worried because I was like, had worked at this company for so long and been a part of the growth of the media department. And then out of nowhere, I mean, they just kind of got rid of everybody. And I was like, well, what are we going to do now? And talking to you, like you were almost like our father, like you were like, I was like, O'Keefe, what do we do, man? Like, how do we like continue on with this stuff, or how can we make this into a business? And you were like, I think you guys are going to figure it out. And, you were a big guidance for us and like a big, as far as like the business side of everything. And, we failed a little bit and then made it happen and made it work. And I think that, it's been very rewarding and to get to where we are now.
When you say you failed a little bit, what do you mean by that?
I mean, like at that particular point in my life, I was just a lot of unraveling was happening, and I felt like I was failing as
just like nothing in your life was going the way you wanted
exactly.
it to go.
Yeah. And I was like, I was going through a bunch of personal stuff at the time too, and then to have that all unravel at the same time, it was just like, I just felt like success was far away from where we were at that time.
Yeah, I just always find it interesting. Like you see the people on stage talking to thousands of people. Like every Uber success story, they're like, "Oh yeah, I had this business idea. I pitched it to 4,000 different people, and I got told no every time." And then the one person that said, like, they all have their failure stories of like, "Oh, I started this business, went bankrupt. Started this one, went bankrupt." And then they're like, "But then I learned this lesson. I learned this lesson. I applied it forward." And then they're just laughing at like how successful they are. And so I always look at like your guys' story. Like I remember when everyone got laid off, and like I'm sitting there, like I've known you guys for years at this point, and I'm like, oh my God, like, well, what happens? Like we've become friends over the years. I'm like, I'm like, yo, keep your head up, guys. Like,
yeah, I remember you.
It's gonna work out, man. It's gonna work out. Like I have no idea how. I don't know anything about your world, but it'll work.
Yeah, I remember early on you were like, "Hey, if you need a place, come crash." I mean, I was like, "Man, I might take you up on that offer."
Yeah, literally, just like every adult has gone through some like turbulence in their life, and it's like sometimes you just need to like pick yourself up out of your world and just go somewhere else.
Yeah,
and just like, and then you're like, when you come back, you're able to look at it a bit from the outside and look at it a little more objectively. So it's just not emotion being involved in it. I remember texting you. I'm like, "Hey man, like you can get to Cookville real easy.
Yeah,
just show up, like leave your camera at home,
dude,
just crash with us for a week."
That meant a lot, man. Like I didn't actually come stay with you, but just the fact that you reached out, it meant a lot to me, and had a lot of support from everybody, and everybody like, people you can lean on and trust in, and that's kind of what helped us get to where we are now.
Absolutely. No, talk a little bit about Buttery Bros now, right? So you came out, you immediately thought like, let's get after building a documentary. I remember the conversations were like, okay, maybe we'll like do a road to the games. You went to Dubai and kind of like, that was the thought. You come back to Dubai, you go to Cookville to build some content, and this idea is on the table. You're thinking about how to go about this, and boom, you hang out with him.
So in Dubai, even before all this started, so we'd come out with kind of wrap up 2018. We thought we were going to get the rights to the 2018 documentary, and that it became quite clear that wasn't going to happen. So we were trying to find another solution, and one solution we came up with was we wanted to do something very different than what we had done in the past in terms of movies. So we were like, let's do a documentary series, and each sanctional we can go to would be an episode within that series. And so we're like, first episode, Dubai. It's epic. Mat Fraser's going to be there. Let's go compete there. And while we got there, I had started a film with my GoPro and some stuff on my Sony to try and create a little vlog around it. Because I was like, I don't know how long these episodes are going to take and what the release is going to be like, but maybe we can create a vlog along the way. In Dubai, we got too caught up into the politics of dealing with the Dubai film, the Dubai CrossFit Championship people. So we were lucky enough to just walk away with the footage that we had, and I kind of lost track of trying to do the vlog. So then when we went to shoot a commercial with Matt around New Year's, we got a call from a company, "Hey, we want you to go shoot this commercial." It was January 1st, and we're like, "Sure, we'll go do this." Went out and we shot all the stuff that they needed for their spot. That evening, I had filmed a bunch of stuff going out there and goofing around, and then I said, "Hey, it's New Year's. Let's do acid bath. Let's do that epic workout from Dubai." Sammy was like, "I'll film it." And we filmed the whole thing, and we went home and started editing the spot. And then Marston finished editing that and then started looking at all the footage. He's like, "I think we got a story here. This would be kind of fun." So he started editing it and had this epic edit of like, he's like, "I think we need an intro." So we sat down at his kitchen table. So if you watch the video, it's us sitting down at the kitchen table and saying, "What's up, everybody? We're starting our little show." And we dropped that the first night we got to Wadapalooza. We stayed up and released that video. And I had my wife create the little buttery pancakes guy and and we came up
Oh,
with
your
the
wife
na-
did that?
Yeah, she created the initial one.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
That's
I didn't know that.
And we set up a YouTube channel and an Instagram. We didn't set up the Instagram. We just had a YouTube channel, and we set it up with like pictures and stuff. And we designed this whole thing, but then we forgot the website. We forgot some other things, but we're like, oh, we'll just see what happens. I think we figured out the name Buttery Bros. Like,
Yeah, we
a
knew it
few
was going to be
days
something with
before.
Buttery because that was something we'd always say back in the day when we'd like hit a well composed shot. Like, oh, dude, check out this shot. It's Buttery.
Buttery.
And then, we're a couple of bros. So
Yeah, why not? So then we dropped it at Wadapalooza, and the next day the event started, and instantly it was a hit. People referred to us as the Buttery Bros the next day. And like walking around Wadapalooza, it was like, oh, wow, this really struck a chord with the community. People love the video. We got to create more of these. And so from that moment on, we set out to make more episodes of that. And then we can kind of circle back to what happened to the actual documentary series that we set out to do that year too.
Yeah, for sure. No, we would love to talk about that. I think it's interesting from my perspective. I've been around the space a long time. Just what that's created in the space. Like I don't think I've been more recognized personally from anything but being on your episodes. So
People call you Chief.
Chief Keef.
I was telling them that I was in an airport in some random place, and I'm like, I hear Chief, and I'm like, what the fuck? This was like early on. It's
Dude,
crazy.
Keith told me last week. Oh yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, my kid calls me Chief now.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm proud of that.
No, it's really cool. What's that been like, right? So this is not like a freight train, right? Like, it's a business unit. It's you have a community, right? Like you have all these fans, and so we always joke around and say like, "What's up, YouTubers?" Right? That's a Matt thing, right? But what's it like to be a YouTuber? Like that's what would you call yourselves YouTubers at this point?
I don't know. Would you say you're a YouTuber?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
Yeah,
I
think
filmmaker
it's part of it.
you're
slash-
currently on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on
Like,
YouTube, but that's not like I don't think that's the limit, and I don't think it needs to be, and I don't think it. And I'm not saying that YouTube is a bad thing either.
Mm-hmm.
For us, it's just finding the best platform, and right now, YouTube is the best platform for what we're doing.
So what I think is wild is like you guys have made full length feature films, but in those films you don't get in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like you're doing everything else, but that's where all the recognition comes from is when you get in front of the lens.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure like a lot of people, and I know like Sammy did it one time where she was like, oh, like how do I describe you guys? Like YouTubers, Instagrammers, and you were like movie maker. and it was like, oh, like duh, you've made multiple full length movies that have been in theaters, like on iTunes, everything, Yeah, it's just wild where the recognition comes from,
Right.
and then where you've actually put in like the most hours and work,
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's kind of split across the board where we've done about 50% on each, especially in 2019, where we've done a ton of work on YouTube and now a ton of work on the new feature film that we're putting out.
Yeah, I think that's the resume is important, right? Like I think a lot of people do know where you were and what you did and what you were, but what is your resume? Like talk a little bit about that, because I think to me, I agree. Like that's why I asked the YouTuber question, because I think there's a lot more depth there, right? There are people that are just that, but you have a lot of like very accomplished work, right? That you were very directly responsible for. What is that work?
Well, I mean, Heber started off making the feature films with Froning, and prior to that, we'd done the Test of Fitness, which was kind of like a story of the construction of the 2013 CrossFit Games, and that led to him and the team deciding to do a feature film that we could then package and sell to like on iTunes or a streaming service. But prior to that, CrossFit wasn't doing any of that, and I remember it was a pretty out there idea from Heber saying, "Hey, I think this is worthy of a bigger platform than YouTube or just the CrossFit websites and stuff like that." And I remember at the time being like, all right, I mean, like I don't really know the process or what the how to get those things onto a website or onto a bigger platform, but he was kind of like the pioneer when it came to that.
Yeah, it was actually an interesting discussion with HQ, and they were like, why don't we just put it on YouTube? It'll get 1 million views. And I was like, but it's not respected as an art form on YouTube right now. Like this is a bigger story, and it'll have a bigger reach if we put it on another platform. And it wasn't a financial thing. It was just like, I want to be able to see this on my TV where I buy my other movies. And finally I got some people talked into it. They loved the idea, and then they really loved the idea when opening weekend, within 12 hours of it being released on iTunes, it was number 3 on the iTunes charts, like behind Jurassic World, Entourage, Froning. And it was like,
Damn.
it was a pretty big moment for CrossFit HQ, and they were like, oh yeah, we should do this on the next movie. Let's do this every year, guys.
Well, and then in 2015, we didn't really set out to make a movie. We just set out to, like, you know, cover the games, make highlights and all that. And then at the end of it all, we had all the coverage we needed to actually do that. And that was like the first one that we all that like started like the Fittest on Earth series.
Yeah, 14. It was just on YouTube, right?
14 was it like a collab? So there was Froning in 14, and then Ian made like a multi-person story that went on just on YouTube. And it was like a full feature-length documentary.
Yeah.
It
Okay, I
too
remember
could have
that.
gone on
Yeah.
iTunes.
And then 15 was the first Fittest film.
Yeah.
And
then obviously from there it was Decade of Fitness, and then Redeemed and Dominant, and now the Fittest is because they own the rights to Fittest on Earth. So we're like, let's just call it the Fittest.
Clean. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about that. Like, I think that, you know, you're about to launch, premiere the next version of that. What's going on?
Yeah. We just finished our new movie, The Fittest. Matt's watched it. You've watched it.
yes, I have.
Yes.
It's dropping in April. I think April 7th. Internationally, for a week on iTunes, and then it'll be available on other platforms where you can video on demand, so you can rent or buy. And then other streaming platforms like a Netflix or Amazon Prime. I think we start bidding for that in a few weeks. So I don't know where it'll be outside of that. Maybe not, but there's a good chance. We'll see.
Great.
It's a fun new film.
What was funny is, so like we obviously set out to do a series, and then once the open was after some of the sanctioned events, it kind of took the drama out of the season because all the top athletes were then qualified by February, and all the stories leading after that just wasn't as dramatic. So we didn't really know what we were going to do with the series until we got in touch with Gravitas, who's done the distribution on our past films. And they were like, it was literally the week before the games. We were filming with Annie and Sarah, and we got a phone call, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you the green light, and we want you to make just a 90 to 2 hour documentary. And I was just like, I just remember hearing that and being like super excited because, you know, it was going to happen and we had the support, but also like super scared. Like I was just like afraid of failing personally, because at the time, it just seemed like such a big insurmountable feat to pull it off.
And now it's like, you're on your own.
Yeah.
It's just the two of you. Whereas before, like,
yeah, we had a whole team and we had,
well,
like,
you had your whole team and you had a steady paycheck.
yeah.
And now it's like, oh, we're on our own.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to do adult things.
Exactly, man. Yeah. And it was literally finding a team the week of the games. So we had to like reach out on social media and to all of our contacts that we made over the years to try and help us actually pull it off. And man, it's just, it's crazy now to like look back on that and kind of be like, wow, we actually did that. Because at the time I was like thinking like, we got to buy a media server and we got to get it built and we got to hire people to help us, you know, shoot the thing and then ingest all the footage. And it just seemed like we didn't have any infrastructure at the time. And it's just surreal to pull it off.
Tell me what goes into that. So I think, you know, dumb that down for anybody listening. Because I mean, here we've talked about this in other conversations I've had on this podcast. Like everything looks really shiny and cool on the outside for everything we do as a group or you guys do individually. I know how hard you guys work. You know, I mean, you stay up all night. You know, that editing process was probably, you know, 2-3 hours of sleep a day for like a month, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and anyone that follows them on social media sees them like they're in like a disco nightclub room.
Yeah.
And they're
Got some killer
posting it like
lighting.
at 4 a.m. And it's
I
like, guys, what the fuck you doing?
I've
And it's
never
like, yo,
slept
editing.
less in my entire life than I have in 2019. Like we'd be pulling these all-nighters because we're just trying to like get the content out as soon as we can, so it's fresh and that it doesn't like, you know, with time I think it loses a lot of its value. But man, Heber is like the king of no sleep. I'm always like, dude, I need to sleep. He's like, yeah, you just stop bitching, you know.
Except for this week.
I remember
this
seeing
week.
you guys at the games, And you had like 14 dudes in a 12-foot RV.
Yeah.
And just,
Which was like the funnest way that I've ever experienced
If you
the
go to
games.
games,
Like,
RV that.
like
I mean-
I've done 11 years of the games or something. And this last year was the most unique and fun, but also challenging year I've ever done. But
I feel like it'd be one of those things where like in the moment you're like, I am miserable. Like it smells in here. It's hot. There's too many bodies. Like I feel gross. But then the week after you're like, man, that was a good time.
yeah,
See, here's the thing: is I don't have a sense of smell, and then you
Like,
don't go to the and I have
you
like
can't smell
I have like
anything. Like
it's
I'm always
on
like,
a 1
bro,
to
you
10, like I
stink.
smell like a 3. Like I have no like.
What, you like sniff too much chlorine?
I don't
at
know.
the pool
Yeah,
when you were a
probably.
kid?
Like
Yeah.
I grew up swimming all the time, so
Oh,
maybe
yeah, there you go,
that's
yeah.
a good. Never thought of it. Matt just figured out my life problems in 5 seconds. But yeah, I have very little sense of smell, so I never had a problem in there. But nobody ever used the toilet in there, which was great.
Okay, yeah.
And
Set
then-
down the ground rules.
And then we would never really get to the RV until like 11 p.m. at night. So we'd get there, sleep, wake up, have some food, and then get out of there.
Yeah.
And that was about all the time I spent in the RV, but it was a ton of fun. And like jumping back to Marston's conversation about like the week of, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. We had a couple phone calls, got a couple people out there. We put out like the biggest thing that's been incredibly helpful for us in 2019 was social media.
Crazy,
I put it
right?
out there like, hey, we need help shooting some stuff. Anybody going to the CrossFit Games and have media credentials? And we had like 50 people respond saying like, hey, I can do this, and I can do this. And we had a team built out in probably 2 or 3 hours after signing the contract.
2 to 3 hours.
Like it was like we
Boom,
just got
team's
flooded.
done.
Yeah, exactly. And I had kind of started conversations with people ahead of time with like Nico, who works with you guys a little bit. He was like, hey, I know you're going to go. Are you going to do something? If you do, I want in. And I said, hey, we're planning on it, but we have no guarantees.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be there, we'd love to have you on our team. And the second we got the phone call, I sent him a message. He said, sweet, I'm in. So he's already in place. And I had like 2 or 3 people like that already set up. So once we got the ball rolling, it was like just connect the dots and set up a crew. But like setting up a media server, setting up like the place where you're going to put all your footage that you're shooting. Because years past, we'd fill up 40 terabytes worth of footage at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
And so this year we had to figure out like, okay, well, we don't have that kind of bandwidth or capacity or time to offload all that. So how are we going to shoot this in a way where we have a manageable amount of media? And then also, how are we going to allocate time to dump that every day? So we hired a really expensive guy that came and helped us out. And part of his job was, you're also going to deal with all this content and media after the fact, because Marston and I have to go shoot all day. So you have to have a bigger responsibility. And he was on the ball. We had this guy named Evan that just smashed it. He was incredible.
And on top of all that, we were trying to do Buttery Bro shows. So it's like we're producing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're trying to produce a documentary. So like I was literally like the only person allowed out on the field to be on the field with a camera. Like everybody else was behind the barriers, and I've done that for every year in the past. So when the time came to go to the games, I was like, hey, CrossFit, you guys really need a camera on the field, because that's like valuable stuff. And like, if you don't do that, you're going to be kind of dropping the
And
ball.
then it's gone forever.
Yeah. And I was like, if nobody's out there, you know, you'll regret it. And I was like, it doesn't need to be me. I've done it for the past 10 years, but if you want to get a new guy, go ahead. But I just think somebody should do it. And so we came up with this trade basically so that I could be out on the floor capturing all that stuff. And then we would give them all the footage to use for whatever CrossFit promotional content they needed. And so we'd shoot an event, come off the floor. I'd immediately grab a smaller camera. We were shooting on reds on the floor, grab like a smaller Sony camera, go behind the scenes, interview all the athletes as much as I could and get the story that happened out on the field. Immediately switch gears, put myself in front of the camera, go around just trying to do Buttery Bros content, like goofing off and joking around, and then just immediately like, okay, we got 6 minutes. I'm going to go pick up the other camera and go film an event. It was just like, it was the most juggling of
Just 4 days, and it's like sleep is on the back burner.
yeah,
You're like, I'll sleep if I'm able to, I will, but if not,
yeah.
nope.
It was crazy, man. And it was like, I'm just super proud. Like it's super surreal to like look back on that and think that like we produced Buttery Bro shows and shot the documentary, and then somehow, you know, like we got an editor after everything was done, and he, you know, like Mark Billingsby, who helped us do rough cuts on all the events and everything that, you know, that we just didn't have time for, because we have obligations to sponsors, and we've already committed to going on trips and shooting all this other stuff. So we needed to have somebody that was actually like laying the groundwork for the documentary while we were still shooting Buttery Bros, and he did a great job, and we were able to kind of pick up all the stuff that he did and finish it off.
How do you go? Like, I'm so intrigued at the process. Like, how do you go about? Like, do you remember things? Do you write things down? Like, how do you, like, dude, you have hundreds of hours of footage to peel through, right?
Yeah.
How do you get like what we
How
saw?
do you log it?
Yeah. Like, how do you, like, what, like, is it, do you have it logged a certain way so you know where you can go? Because like what we watched the other night, like, it's incredible. Like, it's insane. I think we take for granted like how well it's put together.
Yeah.
But man,
You got to be super organized, and like it's super easy to like have a bunch of stuff go offline and break, and you know, if you're not taking care of, you know, getting everything into the right sequences and builds and everything. So the way that we do it, and I'm not sure how other people do it, but the way that we wrapped our heads around doing it from documentaries perspective is we would basically have two sets of sequences, like sequences that were event selects, where we'd go through every single camera that was on the floor, pull all the best, you know, composed shots into a timeline, and then we'd also have a behind the scenes bin where it was like separated by event. So it's like, I know that if I have, you know, if we're doing first cut from the games, there's a timeline with all the best cameras color coded by camera, and then there's also a whole nother sequence that's all the best behind the scenes. And then there's even all the, there's a timeline with everybody's interview that happened to talk about that particular workout. So being able to like whittle everything down into like, it's super challenging when you only have 2 hours to tell a story that you're telling a men's and a women's race, and you're constrained to.
Well, and then like on the women's side, there's like 10 different stories by the end of it.
Yeah.
On the men's side, there's 10 different stories. And then on both sides, now you have these perennial voices that have been there every year that just happen to get chopped out early.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, well, they still have a great opinion on what's going on. So now not only are you looking at the 10 people on the floor, but then there's 4 or 5 other voices.
Yeah. Like
that are great for the story, but they're not even on the floor anymore.
I know. And that was what was like the drama of this movie that's coming up. It's the cut system was very different from movies in the past because that didn't really happen. So we wanted to focus on that and kind of tell the changes of the whole season, but also like what was it like to go to the games and only compete for a day and a half? And, you know, like, do you feel like it was a good test? And like, we were trying to be just as, you know, removed as possible as filmmakers, but just kind of like report the facts. Like, I didn't want to like have my own opinion come across, you know, because like I didn't want people to think like this is just a disgruntled employee that's making this movie. I was just trying to be like as much as a filmmaker to just present what I saw and the way that it happened and the way it unfolded for me.
Yeah, I think that's and now after having seen it, I think that's one of the most fascinating pieces is like, you know, how inserted you are in the ecosystem and a part of all those changes, and how well you, you know, separated and sort of allowed the whole story to be told, either from people still there or athletes or people that have left and didn't necessarily influence it one way or another. That to me, I mean, I can't wait for people to see it. It's really, really good. You guys did a really good job.
Thanks,
I mean, how about you from an athlete perspective?
So there was a couple different points in the movie. So I mean, movie was phenomenal. I can't wait for other people to see it. But like, I was there. I know the ending. Like, I know what's going to happen. I know, and like most of the people in the film are like friends of mine. We've talked about this. Like, what'd you think about this event or that event or this cut? That I've had the conversations. But then just seeing the way it was put together, there was a couple moments through the video where like I would kind of nudge Sammy and like show her the goosebumps on my arms, or like she would turn around just like crying, and she would like turn around to see if I'm crying. I'm like, yes, Sammy, I'm crying. Don't look at me. Like, and it's like, I know the ending of the movie.
Yeah.
For everyone involved.
Yeah.
And it's still getting me. And remember, like halfway through the movie, I was getting all sweaty, like ready to go. And I just take off my shirt. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like my heart's racing right now.
The interesting piece will be, we'll watch it again probably tonight or tomorrow or something.
Sure,
And we're going to film some of it, right?
Yeah. I want to sit down and just do like a director's commentary with Matt Fraser.
And see if that same emotion comes up.
I've been half interested to do something like that, of like watching my events and comment and do commentary on the commentary
Oh
of
yeah.
just how wrong they are so often.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's
if
always
we do
interesting. That's like, because after people have time to like cool off and like really kind of like be measured with what they're thinking and the way that they felt throughout the weekend, it's very different answers than when like you get cut and you just walked off the field and we throw a camera in your face. You know, like
Yeah,
that's
that
pretty.
was that was one thing about those interviews. Like I think we did my interview for the movie the day after,
Yeah,
right?
Monday morning.
And I was in a very like calm place.
Yeah, you were.
And I think that was just a reflection of how I was through like most of the weekend of being in second place. And you know, you sign up for a competition knowing it's a very real possibility I'm not going to win. And it's like, if you're not okay with that outcome, you shouldn't sign up, because there's only two options and that's one of them. And so it's like, it's a reality. You always hear the people of like, oh no, you have to go in knowing that you can win. It's like, no, that's complete bullshit. That's not the way it is. If that's how you're thinking, it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like saying give 110%. It's like, nope, that's not a thing. Like, give it your all.
Yeah.
But you know, but yeah, I like most of the weekend was spent realizing like, okay, I might not win. This is a real thing. And then going into the interview, I was very calm, and I feel like I was able to talk about the events without emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fresh too. You know, like that was the day after hammer drill on the wall.
Yeah,
That's cool.
He can get that out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Shit, what was I even saying?
Yeah,
I mean, it was the day after, like the morning after. We're going through, and it's like, all right, what about this event? This event, like that shit's still fresh.
Yeah, and
my hands are literally still bleeding, and I'm talking about the events.
Yeah, and that's like my favorite time to do it is like, you know, unfortunately, I mean, like Tia had a great interview, but we weren't able to actually catch up with her until several months later in Hawaii. That's when we did her first interview. Did her second interview. After that, we had to interview her a couple times. But I think that the you know, with time, I think you look at things differently.
Well,
And-
I think I remember in previous movies, like I always had to like fly out to HQ to do the interviews, and then they're like, all right. I remember like Hebes being like, all right, what'd you think about event 3?
What was it?
What was event 3?
Yeah.
And, you know, and then like as soon as he says it, you remember some things about it, but then like you watch the footage of the event like a couple days later, you're like, oh, I totally forgot that I had that interaction with this person, or like, you know, whatever it was. Like, man, I wish I brought that up in the interview.
Yeah.
With this movie, that was not the case.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
we
like
that was like another reason. Like we'd always shoot the interviews like like a month or two down
Yeah.
the road after we had kind of wrapped up everything else. But this movie, we're like, we're on a really tight budget here. We got to try and get as many people before they leave.
yeah,
because-
we don't want to. We can't afford to fly and
Yeah.
go see people.
and that's another reason why like Brooke Wells is a good example. Like she got cut, and we were talking to her about that, and it was still fresh. You know, she cried in her interview, and
Yep.
I feel like if we had done that, you know, a month or two later, there's no way we would have got that same emotion. So it was really cool that we were able to turn it around
Mhm.
and do it the next day.
How do you deal as a filmmaker properly documenting the emotion and, you know, people's reactions to certain things? And you're also friends with everybody.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm curious about, because I can't think of anyone that you've gone to film, and you've been to film with all the top games athletes. I can't think of anyone that's like, nope, don't like Marston, or nope, don't like Heber.
Hunter McIntyre.
Oh,
He's the only one.
He's not a real fucking games
Yeah,
athlete.
okay.
So who
yeah,
cares?
Well, yeah. After
Um,
after 10 years of doing it, I've never been shut down, and like I honestly just wanted to have a conversation with the guy. I don't
I mean,
dislike the
it-
guy. He
it's-
was the wild card, and I
It's
was like,
usually when you expose like, hey, like you're good at what you do. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
His sport and what he does, he is the best. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal athlete. But you come into my sport, I'm gonna fuck you up the same way. Like if I tried to run a 10K next to you, it's gonna be the same results probably.
yeah. And I mean, I wasn't trying to like, you know,
I think
jostle him or anything. It was honestly like he was the wild card, and I think he had like a giant X on his back, and I was literally just trying to tell his story, and he was like, "Nope, I don't like your guys' YouTube because like, you know, we went to Granite Games and gave him shit because he was the wild card. Which, if you're the wild card, you should be able to handle that." So.
I understand a bit where he comes from. Like he was put in a bad situation. I spent some time with him one-on-one, and I was like, "Oh, okay, you're nothing like you are online. You're easy to talk to. He was a fun guy." And then it was like as soon as the camera turned on, it was like a whole different animal. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But one-on-one, I got along with him great. I did feel for him a little bit because like when I trained with him, he was like, man, it's really cool that I got a wild card, right? Like he was excited for it.
Sure.
And I was like, no, like I flew all the way to fucking Dubai. I was there for 17 days. I competed, I got throttled to get the same spot that you just like made a social media campaign.
Sure.
And he was kind of like, oh, but that's not his fault.
Yeah, I don't blame him for any of that. I think
exactly.
he got put in a bad situation.
Exactly. And like, I just remember talking to him and like he expected everyone to be as happy for him as he was about it. And so, yeah, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He's not the one who like gave himself the wild card spot. But yeah.
I'm not going to assume anything, but I would guess that by the time we started giving him crap, he had gotten crap from so many people that we were probably the last straw.
Oh, I mean, when he came and trained with T and I, it probably wasn't like the best day for him. I mean, like his TV personality came out. So like he asked us if he can come train. And I was like, yeah, dude, absolutely. Like always down to have like new people in just to hang out, train, you know, whatever. And so the next day he shows up like full camera crew. And I was like I asked Tia, like, hey, did you tell him he could bring cameras in? And she's like, nope. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, you don't want to be filmed, right? She's like, mm-mm. And then like first thing he does is like post a picture of our full whiteboard of our day of training.
Just giving away
and he's like
formula.
Training with Matt and Tia. This is everything they're doing today. Like, and I got tagged in the story. I'm like, dude, take that down.
Yeah.
Like, have you not noticed that in 5 years, no one's ever seen any training I've done? Like,
yeah,
like pick up on the hints here.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just common stuff of like games athletes know of like when you go train with someone else, it's like,
you got to ask.
Yeah, you got to ask, you know? And then, yeah.
So we had the paparazzi at CrossFit.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
because we don't pick up on little things like that. We just jump. What was funny
is like I heard him on a podcast and he was like, yeah, those guys, you know, they're going to be out of this space within a year. And I'm like, dude, you just came into this space within a year. Like, how can you, I don't know. I don't hold grudges. I don't get offended real easy. And I kind of let it go off my back, but
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm in a tough spot with that because like for someone to come in brand new into the space and say something like that to you two, like those are fighting words. It's like, dude, I'm gonna take you out back and beat the shit out of you.
You know? He's got our back. We got Mat Fraser, our bodyguard. Thanks, Matt. It's my big brother. But standing up for me on the schoolyard.
Meet you at the flagpole, bro.
I'm bringing my brother Matt.
You know, there's stuff like I see him like people just like raking him over the coals, and it's like, okay, he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know, he got a wild card spot, and like, is he supposed to say no? Like, I'm going to earn this the right way when he clearly can't. It's like, no, he took advantage of an opportunity and did it. But then, like, it's when people come in and say shit like that, I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, I've been here for years. You just got here. Yeah, that stuff rubs me the wrong way.
So besides Hunter, I feel like we have a great relationship with the vast majority of all the top games athletes.
So anyways, yeah, back to the original question.
Right.
There's clearly bad moments that athletes have at competition. And I know for myself, I'm the same as everyone else. Like I've had bad moments of competition. And then when someone is reporting on it and saying like, oh, Matt fucked up, I'm like, ow, damn, dude. Like I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
You know? Like how do you guys deal with that? Like there's clearly those situations that you need to say, like take the inventory of someone that is a friend that you've known for years. How do you do that? And like, does the friendship like cross your mind, or are you just like, nope, this is the story. If the friendship survives it, cool. If not, it's part of like what we have to do. And
as you answer that, I think it's really important for everybody to know too, like, because I get to see all that and what comes out. And the reason I asked the question is I don't think you protect anyone, including him or anyone. I think you do a really good job given the whole story. And that's got to be really hard, right? So I think that's my thing is like, how do you do that? Because
what are the factors that play into it?
There you go.
I mean, I think first, like, it's in our best interest to like build the athletes up. We like these athletes. We're friends with all of them, so it's like, I'm not trying to burn any bridges and I'm not trying to like offend anybody. So I think and for the most part, we stay relatively drama free. So
for moments like that, it's about the conversations and relationships you build up before they happen. So perfect example was in Dubai. We were filming with Laura Horvath, and the first day, I can't remember what it was, but it didn't go her way, and she was kind of emotional. And I stayed my distance, and I filmed a little bit, but I didn't get up in her grill. Mm-hmm. And later that night, I pulled her aside and I said, "Hey, you just had a kind of a moment today, and I stayed out of your face out of respect. But I want you to know that in 5 years, if more of those moments happen and we don't capture them, you're going to regret it because that's part of your story."
Yeah.
And so in the coming weeks, if things don't go your way or coming events, they might not go your way, and I'm going to have a camera in your face and you're going to hate me in the moment. But in 5 years, you're going to thank me. She's like, okay. So from that moment forward, I didn't have a problem putting a camera in her face. Mm-hmm. And for us as storytellers, we're not making any opinions on how you performed. We're just covering what happened. And then I let someone like Tommy give an opinion about like, oh, how did they do? Oh, they didn't do their best. But I'm like, oh, you did. Let them fall on the sword.
Segue to the clip,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. And so then, but for us, it's like, that's just one example of conversations with, and it's interesting with female athletes versus male athletes, or just over a long period of time, people know like, hey, it's going to be stressful. And there's been only 1 or 2 times where someone's been like, hey, go away. I don't want to have the camera in my face. And I talked to that person the next morning and I said, hey, you were frustrated. You're going to thank me at some point in your life when you have this moment captured and your story is told. Otherwise, no one's going to know who you are because no one's going to know the drama and real behind it.
And worst case scenario, it's like, if I am in your face and you do hate me and then you leave the sport, it's like, all right, someone dislikes me.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's not the end of the world.
But the reason that the highs are as high as they are is because you see the lows,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's like, if we just told all the good stuff that happened.
Yeah, I think that's awesome to know that, like, the first time it happens, you're like, okay, I'm going to keep my distance. But then once they're settled a little bit, I'm going to come in, explain it.
Yep.
And I'm sure that if they said like, nope, in moments like that, I don't want you around, you just kind of have to shrug your shoulders and go like, oh, that sucks.
Yeah. But we haven't really had that problem. Like here's another perfect example is Tia. In 2016, she let us around for all of it. And it was an epic story, but it didn't really go her way. Mm-hmm. And then in 17, she was, I think, a little hesitant to have us around, but I had a long conversation with her at the beginning of the week. And she's like, okay, I'm in. She was in for it. And the story arc between those 2 movies for Tia is absolutely bonkers incredible, because you have this roller coaster of an emotional journey in 16 to this incredible finish in 17. And it really seals her as like this incredible athlete, and people are huge fans now because they've seen the lows and they've seen the high, and
the growth too.
And now,
as a person.
And I mean, now it gives Shane and I just all the ammunition in the gym to just give her a hard time every day.
We can
every time she's like Shane, like, no, that's too many muscle ups. I'm like, all right, 2016 Tia.
She goes, boys.
What and I've seen you peel the onion back, right, on a lot of these guys, and not to ride this too hard, because I think this is what I think this is the art that we see on the outside, and I don't know that a lot of people understand how hard that is, because you guys are super tight with all these guys, especially him, right? Like, and I think you do And I know how hard, it's not hard. I know what it takes to gain trust here. And I've learned a lot from him on that. I respect it. The process is beautiful. I think, what is, I think the last piece of that for me is like, how do you, especially with him, right? Like you guys are super tight. You guys spend a lot of time. How do you balance that? Because you really need to get all those moments out of them. Like, how do you, make sure you hold yourself accountable to ask him the hard questions or ask Tia or Katrin the hard questions? Because it's not all glory all the time, right? Like, how do you dig in on him? How do you dig in on those people that you do care about? Because you genuinely care about Matt. I know that.
What tricks do you play to get inside my head?
Well, it's timing of the questions, right? Like I love Sevan, and his timing was always super aggressive.
Oof,
by
the way, I saw him. This is like the little blip into that. Dan Bailey come off the floor, didn't qualify in that regional in California for the first time.
Yeah.
Immediately, Dan, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
I was like, woof, but maybe he got away with it. But
into 2017 when he's like, I think Nike's going to drop you, Josh. Like he like said that to him. And like when Josh is not doing well, it's like, okay, don't try and fucking have him implode.
Sevan has a different relationship with the athletes,
Yeah,
and especially
I
those
think
guys
that's a big
in
thing. Like
particular.
if anyone else tried to, because I've had one where I came off the floor in 2015 games after I fell off the rope.
right.
And like I didn't even hit the tunnel yet. And he's asked me the questions, but he was good. It was like, I was like, give me 5 minutes. And he's like, yep, cool. If anyone else tried to do or ask what he does, it would be received very differently.
Yeah. So it's just finding the right time to ask those questions. Because in the movie or the film, you can edit it however you want. So it can make it look like he's answering when he's coming off the floor, or you edit this clip right next to this clip and it feels like it's all tied together and you get a genuine answer. So it's asking the right questions, but also just letting them, I try to let them talk as much as possible without me having to ask anything. So if they're coming off the floor and I'm just walking next to you, some people end up just running their mouth and saying exactly what I wanted to say.
Yeah, they're
anyways.
just rambling on, and you're like, oh, all right, well, this is great anyways.
Yeah. So I got what I needed and I didn't have to be a dick about it, So it's just finding what works with what athletes and how to get the right questions out of them. Nothing against how Sevan operates. He does a phenomenal job. And like, I don't operate that way.
Have there been any moments where you had to be a dick and like ask the hard question at a hard time, or
Ricky Garrard.
Oh
yeah.
Oh,
Dude,
this is one that I wish, like, I got some heat over that, of people like calling Ricky a bitch in the movie. And I was like, no, I was saying, if you're cheating, then you're a bitch. When I did my interview for the movie, I didn't know Ricky had popped. I found out like 2 days later.
Yeah, for the timeline of that, I don't even think it was that soon, unless someone told you.
Mm-hmm.
But you came into the office. You came into the office, and I had him set up the interview with you. And Mariah and I were down in Australia, so we were bouncing around doing a bunch of post interviews. So you came in, and Marston and Rory set up that interview with you. But yeah, no one knew except for, I think, five of us, maybe. I can't remember the total number.
Yeah, we knew pretty early, like right after we got back from the games.
And so someone told me, and it was just that person. There was no witnesses. So I was like, this is a test. I didn't think it was real. And I was like, this person is seeing if they can trust me.
If you're a rat.
Exactly. And so I didn't know if it was true or not. So I remember my dad used to always do it. He used to tell me, he's like, whenever I went to a new rink and I wanted to find out if I could trust the coaching staff, I would tell them that I got someone pregnant. And he's like, I'd only tell one person. Wow. And then if anyone else ever came up to me and was like, oh my God, you got so-and-so pregnant, what are you going to do? And he's like, oh, well, I only told that lie to that one person and it got back to me. So I can't trust that person.
Wow.
So I thought that's what this person was doing to me. Dude, 3 months. I didn't tell O'Keefe. I didn't tell Sammy. I didn't say a word to anyone.
Wow.
And then it finally got released. And I was like, oh my God, it was real. It was real. I was so excited.
Dude, it was like a pressure cooker. I was back in Santa Cruz and I knew Heber and Mariah were down in Australia. And I thought that CrossFit was going to come out and be like, yeah, you've been caught, and,
Mhm.
and I thought that was going to happen while Heber was there, and I thought they were going to.
Yeah, I was told the email was supposed to have been sent out the weekend we were there.
Yeah, I was
Whoa.
genuinely, I was like
Ooh.
worried for your safety. I was like, he's going to rip Heber apart.
Yeah, I mean Ricky's a big dude.
Well, first of all, I have no sympathy because it quickly became about you guys and not what he had actually done, right? Like I know he took to the, he despised you guys and didn't like how he's portrayed in the film.
I don't remember how he. I just remember one of the comments.
There's no way to portray him well. Like
Right.
you got caught doing some shit that was clearly illegal. So like when the report came out and it's like Ricky Garrard popped for this and this, I was like, okay, I don't know what either of those are. Look them up, like Google search, and it's like I remember I was in a group chat with you,
Right.
and we're like all sending in clips from these articles, and it was like, oh, of course this is cheating, and people are like, it's not steroids, it's SARMs. It's like, all right, whatever.
Yeah,
like,
call it what you want.
but yeah, you look at like
Call a spade a spade. right?
exactly. So yeah, and then in the movie, I don't know how many people caught it because like no one ever like freeze framed it and was like, there it is, when his brother's like handing him a vial.
Yeah, that's why we put it in there. I was like, I don't know what's in that vial. That could be cough syrup, or that could be.
It was after the movie came out, and I remember I was talking to Kara, and she brought it up. She was like, "Do you remember when we were all in drug testing together, and Ricky came out with his cup of urine?" And I was like, "Holy shit, I forgot." It was like sunset red.
Really?
Like he walks out with this cup of urine. It's a clear cup, and then like he's at the table, and they have to test like the pH balance or whatever it is, and then they bottle it up, put it in the packages, and send it off. And he was one of the first guys to go. And Cara and I are sitting there waiting for another agent to become free so we can go pee. Ricky comes out with his cup, and Cara and I are both like, "Damn, Ricky, go drink some water, dog. Like that's Rhabdo right there."
Damn.
Like his piss was red.
Wow.
And then we're like, "Oh,
That makes
those
sense.
masking agents."
Oh,
There you go. It's
Huh.
just stuff like that. And like there was stuff that came up way after the fact that I had forgotten that happened throughout the week. Like you remember the event that
Oh yeah.
like so
this is a great
once they
story.
take you from the athlete area where there's like the cubbies and everyone's hanging out, they corral you, walk you over to the warm-up area
Yeah.
underneath the Coliseum, and then it's only 10 athletes in there at a time. And then they corral you, you go out on the floor. And when you're in that warm-up area, you are not allowed to leave. Like you're not allowed to go anywhere down the halls, anything. There's bathrooms there, warm-up equipment, corrals.
And technically, you're supposed to check in back at the main warm up area and then
Yeah.
like go with your group to
Like you have a chaperone walking you. The coaches can't walk over with you. You meet them over there. Anyways, we're in that second warm-up area under the Coliseum. And I'm looking around. I'm like, where the fuck is Ricky? And like, he is nowhere to be found. Benny is nowhere to be found. And I'm like, where are these guys? Like, we got the 10-minute call. I haven't seen them at all over here. Dude, I go into the bathroom. I looked under every stall, everything. I'm like, where the fuck is this kid? Nowhere to be found. And then like, as we get corralled, he shows up. And I'm like, where the fuck you been? Like he wasn't there for 40 minutes. He didn't warm up for the event. And then he goes out and like the event before, it was like he was crumbled. He's falling apart. Comes out in the next event, superhero. Didn't warm up. I'm like, what's going on here?
yeah.
And then I remember another games athlete, he and I are on the bikes after an event cooling down. I was like, yeah, Ricky's doing well, huh? Or he asked me that. He was like, Ricky's doing well, huh? I was like, yeah, suspiciously.
Oh,
And he was like, wait, why do you say that? And I was like, because I think he's on steroids. And he was like, oh shit, me too. And I was like, wait, why do you think that? And we both like went through our reasonings. And it was just funny because like the whole competition, I'm like, yeah, he's clearly on steroids right now. Like
Yeah.
I competed against him, what was it, 7 months before?
Yep. Which is where he said in an interview with McCoy Post that he started the process.
Oh, really?
Huh.
Well, he was saying basically that like I started taking it then when he finally was like, oh, I knew what I was doing.
Oh,
So-
I've never seen that.
So there's an interview and I want to point that out. There's an interview that McCoy did at the regional. That
Oh, okay,
next year.
okay, yeah, yeah.
And it was with him and Benny. And it's like, if you watch that, it even makes the story even crazier because like they had both said like, you know, he didn't know what Benny said.
Ben said he didn't know, right?
Yeah. And then
Ben pops for the same thing 2 years later.
But in that interview,
how did you
like,
not know and then do the same thing? Like,
We'll never
bro.
catch two of us.
Yeah.
but like they got to get their story straight because that interview was madness. And like he's blaming you guys for, you know, what he did, you know, the way you reeled them in and all the shit and his girlfriend spouting off on social. But yeah, that interview, you know, it talks about how he started that at that competition.
Oh,
So it was like,
no way.
not, he hadn't trained it, but like he had used it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like 7 months prior, I competed against him and like so he could run. Like he had a great engine, not nearly what it was at the games. But then anytime a barbell showed up, bundled, like any moving weight.
And then he like
He
PR'd his
bundled.
snatch by like
and then
40
he's
pounds.
one of the 7 months later, like, yeah, 7 months later, taking a 300-pound attempt out on the competition floor. Nah.
Yeah.
Like, you can make gains like that, like maybe your first year in the gym. Like, you make stupid gains your first year, your first time doing anything, you know? The learning curve is just quick. Everyone thought he was a rookie. No, he'd been to regionals like 4 times.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this wasn't his first, like, competition season. He's been here for 4 or 5 years and then just had this huge blip in his performance.
CBD, bro.
CB.
Yeah.
Have
Striations.
Have you guys talked to him at all?
No,
No,
I think we might run into him in Australia next week. We're going to Wollongong, which is like his hometown, and doing an event down there called Tribal Clash.
Oh,
They do that stuff. by
Yeah,
the
and
way,
I think they have competed in years past at it, so I'm interested to see.
bro, just tape some phone books around
Yeah,
your
right.
soft
And get
areas.
shanked.
Not awkward.
No, I'd be happy to talk to him.
Get a round of beers, Boyle.
it
You'll
was-
bury the hatchet.
I was
you
like,
should
I was
request
more,
an interview ahead.
I was more pissed than anything. Like me personally, I'm like, all right, like you cheated, but like I still beat you, so I'm not really like Vellner's pissed. You know, some other people took it personally. Me, I was like, that's shitty of you, but you know, whatever. The time I spent with him, I met him in Australia,
Which was post. Well, he was,
was
doing Dubai,
the
pre-Dubai.
Dubai qualifier.
Right.
I met him there briefly. I hung out with him a bit in Dubai.
Right.
And then I spent a ton of time with him at the games. I had a great time with him. He's a fun guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a bro of bros.
Great host. I'm not kidding. Great host.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I was more disappointed of like, damn it, man. I liked you. And then he pulls some shit like this, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, super nice kid. Fun as hell. And like he's a man's man.
Yeah.
But then
Dude chops wood for fun.
yeah.
And he's coming.
You don't?
He's coming
I
back,
do
right?
too, actually.
Isn't his suspension up though for the 21
I
games?
want to say he's eligible to compete at the 2021 games.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date. It's either 21 or 22, but I know he's coming. He posts every open workout online, right?
Yeah.
know.
I mean, he does, like when regionals were still a thing, he was doing all those and
Yeah.
like,
World record times.
yeah, obviously.
Interesting. What's going like what's up next for you guys? Like where are you headed? You know, you guys bounce around as much as any of us, right? So, you know, where do you plan to be this year?
Our schedule is pretty booked out. Like obviously we're going to be going to a lot of the Loud and Live events, going to Wadapalooza, going to do the gauntlet, going to, you know, probably take one of the top spots in that, you know, going to West Coast.
You know I'm doing the gauntlet too, right?
You're doing the gauntlet.
You're doing the gauntlet?
Oh shit.
I don't know. It sounded cool. What is the gauntlet?
yeah, he's in.
Yeah,
I'm not-
You
I'm not
should be in
I'm
our
not-
heat, dude.
I'm not going to
that would be
compete.
It's
so
so
damn
awesome.
cool.
I'm not competing at Wadapalooza, but I will damn sure be there.
It's basically just like a monster mash workout that they
Like-
put on that you can
So it's
compete
a-
on the
Oh, and
floor.
it's like every spectator can go through and do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
So it's 5 workouts within an hour, basically.
So you start. It's waterfall. So like every 10 minutes, a new group's going on the floor and they're
Yeah.
working down the line. So they're like 10-minute segments basically, but like workout might be 3 minutes, might be 5, might be what was it last year? Like a max 3-rep thruster.
yeah, I had
Yeah.
my Disney moment. I beat Heber and Tommy.
So yeah, we're doing that Thursday and Friday, and then
Squirrel gets
the
a nap every now and
winners
then,
get to go on Sunday. So you might
Oh.
be like
Yeah,
moving on
dude.
to the
So wait, the
I'll
winner,
cheer
the winners
you on to
on
do that.
like the first round then go through another one?
Yeah, you'll qualify on a Thursday and Friday for like the Gauntlet Championship on Sunday.
Is there a prize?
There is.
Bag of protein.
What is it?
Yeah, tell
I'm
me
not
the
sure off the top
deeds
of my
to it.
head.
What have I got?
I'm sure
What's on the line?
It's like
Like-
I don't know, thousands of dollars, a couple thousand, 3,000, I don't know.
I mean, why do 4 days of competition, 50 grand, when you can do 2 hours for $1,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
better
sign me
return.
up.
You heard it.
And then we're obviously we're gonna go to West Coast Classic. We're gonna go to all the Tribal Clash
You're
events.
gonna do the Gauntlet there.
Is there a gauntlet there too?
West
Yes.
Coast? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
All right.
yeah, whatever you want us to do.
Tribal Clash events. We're going to Australia. We're going to Portugal. We're going to back here to the UK for one of their events, and Huntington Beach. We were gonna go to Bali, but the guy putting that on seems to be.
We got some questions for that. We'll figure that out. And then we got Wad on the waves after that. And then Tribal Clash has some epic events happening that we're gonna be at all those, and then they get CrossFit games.
Yeah, those are
Damn, how are we already back at the games? Damn.
I mean,
That's what I was thinking today. I was like, man, that's coming up, and I'm like, well, it's only January. I'm like, oh, we got a little bit of time.
yeah, it's the time.
Yeah. Like, dude, years tick by.
Yeah.
Like, once you get into this season, it's like you have your month after the games, and then it's like, all right, you do this competition for fun, and then it's like a month till the open.
Yep.
And then that's over a month long. And then it's like, all right, now another month till Wadapalooza. And then boom, back at the, he was like, damn it, how'd we get back here already?
I know, it's nuts.
Well, you're going to your 7th CrossFit Games.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I do
How
believe
did that
I should have
happen?
taken the footage of it where you were like, when I think we talked about like 5 years at one point. You were like, no fucking way.
I remember the first time I met Panchak, and I was like, man, like you've been doing this forever, haven't you? Like you're one of those guys. And I didn't know anyone or anything. And he was like, no, like not that long. He's like, this is my 3rd time here. I'm like, 3? You've been doing this shit for 3 years, dog? Like, damn. And now I'm like going into like I started CrossFit when I was 22, and
Wow.
I just turned 30.
30, bro.
Dude.
I know. I'm dipped in, dude. I'm 32.
You got those dad shoes, right?
Dude, Sammy got me a set of Monarchs, a full gray jumpsuit, and a visor.
Dude, your dad
Looks like
your
Fraser's
dad-
on his way to get some Jello somewhere.
you I think we're gonna get you guys to compete at West Coast Classic. We've talked about that.
Yeah, we have.
Like on an actual
Yeah.
leaderboard team.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's a good idea.
Oh
Yeah,
I want
man,
to see. You
Sammy,
guys,
Sammy's competing.
Sammy is competing on the.
So
What is the
Sam-
name of this team, Sammy?
The Real Housewives.
Oh my god!
Real
So
Housewives
it's
of CrossFit
Sammy, Jazz. What's Jazz's last name?
I'm not sure. Team Richie.
Yeah,
Jazz.
Team Richie's
Pocahontas.
better half.
Yeah, Wanderlust
Jazz.
Pocahontas.
and
And then Michelle.
then Michelle Vellner, or
Yeah.
she's not Vellner yet, but yeah, and
Patrick's-
Vellner's better half.
Yeah.
They're all doing a team together, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
couldn't be more. Tia keeps trying to say that she's
Yeah,
the
who's
coach.
coaching that?
Tia keeps saying that she's trying to coach it, and I'm like, no, I am. So we'll have a little battle over
That'll
that
be
to
sick.
see
Yeah.
who can do
That
it.
should be interesting. Tell me, tell me about the relationship here, because I think this is important. Like, you guys work together, you do everything together. I mean,
Yeah.
you're everywhere. You spend 24/7. Like,
Yeah.
what's the
We're
work?
sleeping in the same bed tonight.
I can't wait.
Dude,
I'm
that
gonna video
fucking, whatever I slept on last night, dude, I can't do it again. I'm gonna
It's
be.
okay. You don't have to.
I'll be the little spoon
You
or
get to
big
sleep on
spoon.
top of Heber now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are going to be close tonight, buddy.
Last time we did
You'll
that. In the
literally be
RV.
better putting your blanket and pillow on this countertop.
I completely agree
Yeah.
because I was literally sleeping on like a bar in my back.
I
last
can
night.
sleep anywhere. I can't. Marston, I've seen you sleep sitting up.
Dude, I could sleep better sleeping up on an airplane or on a moving car. I could probably lay on a dryer and get a better sleep than on that futon. What is a
try it.
futon?
Let's try this.
Oh, meanwhile, I'm in there in a queen size bed. Like, ugh, I've slept in queen size bed since I was in
Peasants.
high school.
Yeah.
Well, what's the like demographic here? Like, how's this work? Like, who's in charge? Who's the CEO type?
What are each of your roles?
Yeah, what are your roles?
Well, I mean, for All Butter Inc., Heber is the president and I'm the vice president, and that's kind of
Veep.
I'm the VP. Heber is probably more of the day-to-day operations / business side. I mean, like, I dip into it, but he's turned into like a really good businessman. Like, we went from being just like creatives that picked up cameras and interviewed people to having to like take the O'Keefe 101 business school within, you know, the matter
Just
of 6 months.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much. But so there's when it comes to like the episodes, I think we kind of like we both share the load there. Like I usually edit like the first half of the show, he edits the back half of the show, and we both have very similar editing styles, so that
So it works.
so when we like
Yeah.
bring them both together, they both marry together very well. Same thing with like the movie and stuff like that. Like he's a super fast editor. Like he can like smash through edits, and like I'm much slower.
But he's way more refined. So like I'll do a massive, big, like 95% rough cut, and then Marston has the patience and talent to go
Like,
back
do
through
the detailed, like the
and
whole
does
way
like
through.
a nice little detailed finish on stuff.
Yeah.
So we split the load in different ways.
Yeah, it's like the monkey on the other monkey's back, picking out all the
Yeah.
dander. You know? It's kind of like what I do.
just a couple of monkeys.
One thing I'm curious about, like, so when you guys were at HQ, like it's safe to say you were just employees, right? Like
Yeah.
you had a boss, you were given a task, and you went and did that task. Like, what was that like going from being just an employee at a bigger like company or corporation to then being on your own and basically having to be your own boss?
So
like-
so back to kind of when we got let go, I had a different side of it than Marsden, where for a long time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with life and some financial questions. And for me, making the 18 documentary was like, oh, I'm just making another movie for,
Yeah.
like, I'm not getting anything out of this. Like,
Yeah, you're a paid salary
Yeah, I'm getting the
employee.
same
You're not
I'm
getting a
getting the same
bonus or
salary
a
I did.
royalty off the movie.
Got an Amazon gift card.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like I shouldn't talk about the payments, but like there wasn't a lot of growth happening there, and it didn't look
There
like
wasn't
things-
an incentive to do.
yeah, there
the
wasn't an
smash up
incentive to do
job.
anything because it was this. I was doing the same amount. I was getting paid the same amount that I had been paid back in 2013. Like nothing had changed there.
Yeah,
And so
and inflation's real, man.
yeah, and I'm living in California. I'm living in Santa Cruz, which is super expensive.
Yeah,
So
a
for me-
burrito costs $20.
Yeah, but they're worth it
Yeah,
at the
man.
point market.
Point
Go.
Get
Pleasure
the barrel.
Point. No potatoes. Anyway, so for me, it was sort of when I was let go, it was emotional because it was like I was saying goodbye to my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't have a problem. I'd kind of overcome it. I was down at Disneyland with my family, got the email. I was like, I gotta go do this thing. I gotta be up at HQ tomorrow. I'll be let go. So we drove up that morning. And so I had time to process it. By the time I got there, I was like, okay, I'm going to be fine. This is okay. And I walked in and I saw Rory McKernan, who had been like by my side. We had gone through like hell together. And he was the first person I saw walking in the gym. And I was like, oh, son of a, and got really kind of emotional walking up, and then like went through the meeting, got out of there and had an emotional few days just because it was like, I was breaking up with this really cool girl that had been great, but I wasn't the right fit anymore.
Yeah,
And it wasn't like I have no problems with HQ. If they want to go a different direction, great. I wasn't surprised at all by being let go.
Yeah.
Like when they let a lot of people go in August, and this was in October. And the week after August, when they explained why they let people go, I was like, I dodged a bullet, but I should have been fired because I'm doing exactly what
I'm what they just described.
yeah, my job is exactly what you're saying you don't want to do anymore. So from August till October, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and make this 18 movie. It sounds like you guys want to do it, but there's
Yeah.
really no clear guidance here. So I'm just going to have fun. And I spent some more time on the beach than I probably should have, or,
Yeah,
I was much more relaxed because it wasn't like, I saw it coming.
yeah,
And I even said before I went to Disneyland, I think I told I told a guy above me, I said, hey, if there's anything that I need to be here for, please let me know because I'm going to Southern California for a few days.
yeah.
And he was like, oh, you should be fine, but check your email
But
over
keep
the weekend.
keep your cell on you.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, good luck in Brazil, Marsden.
Yeah, I was in
Nerd.
Brazil. I let go over a phone call.
So, but leaving there, and then it was sort of refreshing, but it was figuring out how do we make this work? How do we continue to make things?
Yeah.
I
I mean, like, I know from my point of view, like, obviously I don't know anything about your day to day, but that was your day to day for how many years?
almost 10 years.
I mean, so that drastic of a change, I mean, that's super intimidating.
Yeah.
Like,
It-
holy shit, what do I do now?
Well, so here's what I figured is I was all in. like 2009 to 2017, basically 16, I was all in. Everything I did, every part of my life was like, I'm building the company. Like I would go on vacation and I would drop in at CrossFit boxes and be like, affiliate owner, how's your gym? How is CrossFit doing? How are we representing you? Like,
Yeah.
what can we do for you? Like I saw myself as an ambassador for the company. And from like 11 to 13 specifically, like we were producing the ESPN shows, and I literally moved my house as close as I could to the office because I was working till 4 a.m, driving 30 minutes over the hill to San Jose, coming back at 9 a.m, and then doing it again and working these ridiculous hours. And I was like, this isn't safe. So I'm going to move my house so I can be as close as I can, so I can have these ridiculous hours because I'm invested in this.
Yeah.
And then leaving that, I was like, well, I just need to put that same amount of effort and that same kind of time window into something that I really want to do.
Yeah.
And that was the Buttery Bros. And so the second we dove in, like we came to, this is a perfect example. We had done Wadapalooza and we'd done a few episodes, and we were trying to figure out, okay, what was the next episode of the docuseries and the next Buttery Bros thing. And Marston was sitting in his little garage, and he was like, dude, I think we should go to London. I was like, I don't know how we're going to pay for it. He's like, we'll put it on a credit card. And I was like, I'm in. Let's jump off a cliff. Let's do this. And we went to London, and I think he pitched it to me. He was like, we'll go to London, and they're not going to do a great live stream because they just don't have the bandwidth, and they've just found out about it. And we'll produce an epic video that will be better and will go more viral, and it'll be the best piece of content out within 12 hours of the workout being released. And I was like, I'm so in for this.
Oh, wow.
So we came here, I lost my voice, we busted our butts. And then from that point forward, it was like that same dedication I put towards that company, I want to put towards my thing. And that's been so rewarding to have, like, now I'm not working for somebody else that's benefiting. Like I'm benefiting me.
Isn't that like crazy, like eye-opening of like, if you have a good work ethic, you're never gonna be out for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally, you just need to like keep scanning. And then like once you find that one thing to put those crazy hours towards, and you don't mind putting in those crazy hours because you're loving it.
Yeah.
Like once you just got to find your thing and then fucking go.
Yeah.
And I mean, like that exactly. Like, all right, well, how are we going to get to London? You know, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
That's
like,
the like big aha entrepreneurial moment. Is like the second you bet on yourself, you've won for the rest of your life. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's like, I was in a family business. It closed. It was like crying and like my wallowing in my sorrow. What the fuck am I going to do? Like took a boring job. Like the hardest moment is like having the, as Ollie from Sid would say, the minerals to like take that step outside the box and like invest in yourself. Because now I know how you feel. We all know how you feel, which is like, who cares if this doesn't succeed? I'm going to put all my love and effort into this. And if it doesn't, I can start something else again. You know how to do it, which is just get your ass off the couch, stop being sorry for yourself and doing it.
Yeah. Like I think the really important lesson that leads to kind of all this of like the comfort of betting on yourself is that if you fail, it's going to be fine.
Right.
Like nothing.
And it's going to be fun while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I think it was like the first time that I had like a terrible experience. I would consider it a failure of like whatever I was trying to do. And then like, it's like a year later, you're looking back on it and you're like, and it comes up as a funny story.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm making this room of people laugh at a moment that like back then I was heartbroken. I was crying over this. Like I was a shell of myself. And now I'm like, all right, like no matter how bad this experience is, I'll get over it. Like things are going to get better if I just keep working hard and being good. And then someday it'll be a funny story, And so like, I say it to Sammy all the time, like absolute worst case scenario, we sleep in the car for a while, like we lose the house, we lose everything. Like I've slept in a car before. It's not that bad. Like
with kids, it would kind of suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're in a situation where
exactly. But like, if you lose everything, it's like you can wait tables anywhere in the world. Like
just gotta put your shoulder down, get some work done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like that makes it more comforting to be willing to bet on yourself, because once you realize like, all right, failure's not that big of a deal. Like it's a big deal if you let it be. But like you guys got let go. You got let go from this job that you literally moved your life to make it better. You're putting these crazy hours, all this effort. Like you hadn't taken a pay raise in how long? You're making featured films, and then just done. And you're like, oh shit. All right. Like, what now? And you just point in another direction and go.
Isn't that the formula though? It's like never make the same mistake twice, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hard work pays off. I mean, not, and that's your thing, but like legit, there's no silver bullet lining to anything. Like I've done it all, man. I've been around, I'm 42. Like, I've tried every shortcut in the book, but I think I got it this time around, and even still make mistakes all the time. But it's like, there's nothing, what I know is I can stay up longer and work harder than anyone else. And that again will translate into success. And if it doesn't, I'll just do more of it. And you guys, I mean, God, you're two of the hardest working people in the business. You grind that, but you know that now, right? The formula is that, like, just learn your lessons along the way and just work your ass off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 2019 was like the most challenging. Like I've never been so uncomfortable in my whole life, and just being like forced into scenarios where I'm just like, I almost feel like the world's coming down around me, and I'm just like, okay, I just got to like somehow get through this. And I know that, there's going to be something good out of this, and I'm going to learn a lesson out of it. And it was like, man, there was just so many times where I just didn't even feel comfortable in my own skin, but there was also just like so many unknowns, but obviously it's got me to where I am now. So
you guys have done a phenomenal job. I'm really proud of you guys, first of all. So,
thanks, man.
Thanks,
it's really
Chief.
cool to watch.
Man, I'm fucking glad it worked out. Like, 'cause I gave hey man, keep your head up. It's going to get better. I'm like, man, I fucking hope it gets better.
yeah.
No, super proud. And, hey, but there's a lot more work to be done. So keep grinding. I think everybody in the space relies heavily on, a lot of what you do.
I am excited for people to see the movie.
Yeah.
I know that's
That
what's cool
is
is
gonna
like, because like people were all expecting a 2018 movie, and then when that didn't happen, it's just every day since then we get direct messages, people being like, when's the 2018 movie? When's the 2018 movie? And we're like, there's not going to be a 2018 movie, but now there's going to be a 2019 movie. And they're like, okay, when's the release date? And like,
Yeah. And we're going to do something with our world premiere at Wadapalooza.
Yeah, that's
finally.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been wanting to say this for the whole,
I didn't know if that was a
like
secret.
hour 15 so
Yeah.
far, but I was like, I don't know if we're dropping this yet.
Just drop it. Yeah. We're going to premiere it at Wadapalooza.
So if
Some
you're
fashion.
coming,
It's going to be limited tickets.
Oh man, yeah, that'll be.
Might just be in my hotel room.
Because I'm
but-
pretty sure, like, once you put the tickets up for sale, my dad will buy.
Oh, I know.
Donnie
He's
coming in hot.
Donnie,
He's done it before.
Donnie, don't worry, it will sell out if you don't buy those 40 tickets.
What movie was it?
it was the A Decade of Fitness. We did this special way to release it, which was we used this ticketing platform. It was really creative and unique, which is we put out options of like, hey, this city has this theater and it has to sell X amount of tickets. And if it doesn't sell this amount, your money's refunded and the theater doesn't happen. The screening doesn't happen. So I think we had like 30 theaters and 22 of them ended up working out and like 8 probably didn't.
Yeah.
But your dad wanted to make sure that the one in Burlington, Vermont had to happen.
So one of the theaters was in Burlington, Vermont, and I get a message from someone, I'm sure it was one of you two. They were like, yo, like people are excited in Vermont about this movie.
Yeah.
You guys were the first theater to sell the required number of tickets. And I'm just like rubbing my forehead like, oh my God. Because I know what happened. We need to sell 40 tickets. My dad logged on and bought 40 tickets to make sure that it
Thanks,
happened.
Donnie.
Thanks, Donnie. Yeah, I remember that moment specifically.
We'll buy the tickets if nobody else will. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
fair enough.
right.
Yeah, we're fired up. It's gonna be fun. It's a cool movie.
Yeah. So Wednesday night so now that we're talking about it, Wednesday night, we'll toss that up. There'll be some information to come, and I think we'll probably have a limited number of tickets for the public.
Red carpet, wear your boner pants.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see how you two are dressed for that.
I know.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
got some ideas.
Oh man. Well, again, congrats on all the success. Like this isn't,
Thank you, and like for all your guidance. For those that don't know, Chief Keef has been he's been a personal mentor for us.
His nickname is Dad for a reason.
Yeah, like he's a phenomenal person, and has been. We wouldn't be where we are without the help of Chief Keef and Loud Alive in general.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I love you guys, so that's easy for me. But thank you.
Thank you.
I don't need that, but anyway, listen. We're going to do a million of these, but I think it was great I'm really I wanted to sort of let people know, what goes into what you guys do on a daily basis. Because I think there is, again, I'll say it again. There's it's all shiny on the outside. It's a lot of hard work. So keep grinding. So we have a little tradition that we've developed here that
Ooh, tell me
you're
about
gonna you brought us on. You're gonna bring us out. So you're gonna close us out any way you want and shut us down here. So then when you're done, you hit the button and close it out.
All right, everybody. That's the end of our show today. Marston, who was on it? What happened?
Obviously the fittest on earth, Mat Fraser, Dad, Chief Keef,
Chief Keef.
me and yourself here in Madrid,
My
getting
name's
ready
Heber.
for the upcoming event for Madrid CrossFit Championships.
Stay tuned. We're going to release some information on the Buttery Brothers. You can follow us all by our Insta handles. You know them. Find them. If you don't, use Google. And we'll see you on the next one.